The opinions expressed in this video reflect the opinions of the participants only and do not reflect the opinions of the producer or the University of Chicago Graduate School of Business. The University of Chicago Graduate School of Business and/or the University of Chicago in no way endorse this video. Stemming from the second oldest collegiate business school in the United States after Wharton, the former University of Chicago Graduate School of Business was renamed the University of Chicago Booth School of Business on November 6, 2008, after David G. Booth, an alumnus who credited much of his success in business to his training at the school. The name change was in honor of a $300 million gift from Mr. Booth, by far the largest ever given to any graduate business school. The Booth School now has the third largest business school endowment after HBS and Stanford. Regardless of its name, Chicago has long been considered among the nation's very top business schools. In fact, Businessweek recently ranked Booth as the top graduate business school in the country. The U.S. News & World Report placed it as the 5th top school, Forbes magazine is the 7th, and the Wall Street Journal is the 9th. Internationally, The Economist placed it as the top school in the nation, while the Financial Times placed it as the 6th. The modern Booth School is housed in a 415,000 square foot building that was opened in 2004 at a cost of $125 million. The 7-story building easily accommodates the roughly 1,100 students and 175 staff and contains a 6-story winter garden that allows students to study and socialize in sunlight even in the dead of winter. Academically, Chicago is known for its rigorously quantitative but flexible curriculum, with strengths in finance, economics, and accounting. The nearby law school is the de facto center of law and economics, so interdisciplinary study is not uncommon. And of course, Chicago is known for its vaunted faculty, which includes 6 Nobel laureates. Though the primary campus is in Hyde Park, the school also maintains campuses in downtown Chicago, London, and Singapore. Let's meet some students.
My name is Patrick Miller. I grew up in Wisconsin. Worked in accounting for a few years, traveled abroad, lived in Tokyo for 3 years working with the firm, and decided to go back to school.
Jenny Vavra. I went to undergrad at Columbia University. I studied electrical engineering, after which I worked at Harris RF Communications Division as an electrical engineer.
My name is Ali Shen. I'm originally from Turkey, but I've been living in the States for about 10 years now.
Well, my name is Vanessa, and I'm a first-year student at the Chicago GSB. I'm actually a dual degree student with the School of Social Work, which is sort of an unlikely partnership, and I'm the first person in quite a few years to do this particular joint degree.
Brad Romney. I'm here at the GSB because I was at the law school at the University of Chicago before, so it was an easy transition.
And what about the rest of you? Why did you choose Chicago?
I chose Chicago over some of the other top schools, primarily because of its reputation. I think that when you look at Chicago, it's always been very strong in economics, as you can see by the number of Nobel laureates who have taught here or gone to school here. And it's just always carried a reputation for academic rigor and quantitative analysis that is what I'm interested in.
I decided to come back to business school for something different, and because I wanted to do something I was passionate about. And I decided to come to Chicago because it's an amazing school in a great city.
And the reason I came to Chicago is because of his proficiency in finance. I'd like to get a job in Wall Street. That's why I wanted to come to Chicago. Very good culture, very good people, and that's basically the reasons. And very high rankings as well.
The GSB is famous for finance, for a very rigorous quantitative education. So it's not perfectly aligned with my interests, but all of those skills are readily transferable to what I want to do. So all of the accounting, all of the statistics, all of the like the behavioral science stuff that also happens here is really, really relevant. And I also feel lucky just to be in a place where the curriculum is so rigorous and the expectations are so high.
I started law school. I paid attention to the business schools related to the law schools I was going to. I wasn't sure at the beginning whether I'd do a JD MBA, but I had thought about it.
Are there many JD MBA students at Booth?
There are, I don't know relative to other places, there are 6 law student JD MBAs from my law class, and then there are, I think, 8 from the year ahead of me.
Did you consider any other programs?
Definitely. I applied to 5 universities altogether. But my top choice was Chicago. So I came here.
No, I didn't actually. I probably, if I had been looking at a wider range of business schools, this certainly would have been at the very top of my list. I'm just interested in having a class of incredible peers, people that I can depend on and interact with professionally for the rest of my life. And already 2 months in, I know that that's going to be the case.
What is the relationship like between Booth and the rest of the university?
There's definitely an ability to take classes through the rest of the university, and it's actually strongly encouraged. Both alumni who come back to speak talk highly of classes they took outside the university, whether it's in public policy or law school, and a lot of the faculty encourage it. There's really not a ton of interaction between the GSB students and the other students. We did have a graduate social mixer, with the law school, med school. But I would say that in general, there's not a lot of mixing. I mean, we have a very focused curriculum and recruiting cycle here, and it kind of takes up a lot of your time. And part of the advantage of going to business school is making the contacts with your other students, because they're going to be, with competitors or other firms, and when you're looking for a new job, it's nice to know someone who works there. So most people spend a lot of their time here in Hyde Park Center getting to know their other students.
What do you think the value of an MBA is, and what do you plan to do with yours?
The MBA is probably one of the most general degrees you can get and still do anything you want. I think you can start your own business, you can work in industry, you can go to nonprofit. There are obviously things you can't do with it, like be an engineer, but it gives you just a lot of flexibility. I'm going to start out in consulting, and then eventually I'll end up probably starting my own business.
Well, I think that an MBA gives a student a chance to take what they study as an undergrad, even if they studied business previously, and their own work experience, and reflect on it in the framework that's provided in the MBA, and try to take those lessons and really solidify them into skills that they can use going forward. It's not always about teaching you something new, but rather going back and looking at things you've already experienced from a different perspective. And definitely in some fields, an MBA is a required ticket to get in the door.
It's possible to be an executive in a nonprofit or a foundation and make a reasonable amount of money, certainly a salary that would allow me to repay my loans. And maybe I won't be able to do it in 3 years like a lot of my classmates will probably be able to do. It'll take me a long time to repay off my loans, but that's okay. I mean, I know what kind of work I want to do, and it's in social service. And so there are sacrifices that come with that.
I'm looking into consulting and also entrepreneurship, working with startups.
Can you describe your experience at Chicago?
So far, very good, very good. Very intensive program. The classes are pretty good, very good actually. Teaches all the basics as well as additional fundamentals that you need. And I think it's very interesting as well as recruiting started right now. There's a lot of activities going on. It's hard to catch up at times, but it's very good, very, very satisfying.
The School of Social Work is about 95% women. And the business school is about 30% women. So that's the one very, very stark difference. And people here are not shy about talking about money. And in fact, a pretty pervasive theme is getting rich and doing it quick, and that's not taboo here at all. But sort of the industry that I'm coming from, that is taboo. And the only reason social workers talk about money is to say that they've taken a vow of poverty.
I've loved it. I've enjoyed both programs. They're very different though. The business school here is, the professors are on the same caliber, top of their field at both places. The students here are maybe more focused on getting the job, and that's, I think an MBA program generally has to be that way. At law school, you have one on-campus interviewing session at the beginning of your second year, and everybody's doing the same thing, so you don't have law firms coming on campus to present. Whereas here you have consulting firms and banks and people from all different industries coming on campus to present, have coffee chats and information sessions.
How have you found the faculty?
Very informative, good practical knowledge, so very helpful.
I think that a lot of the faculty, you can find them in the cafeteria and strike up a conversation with them. They're very down to earth, which surprised me. I mean, coming to Chicago, I had this idea of everyone has a Nobel Prize or is working on their Nobel Prize, and I pictured a lot more serious faculty than what I found. I mean, they're very serious about their work, but they're very approachable.
The faculty care a lot, and they come super prepared to every class, and they're leaders in their field, and it is totally obvious in the lectures that they give and the background knowledge that they bring to every topic. It's been an amazing experience. It's also been a humbling experience to sit in class with people, with professors who are so accomplished and so knowledgeable, yeah.
How would you describe your academic experience?
It's very flexible, so you can tailor it to whatever you're looking for. The quantitative finance program itself is extremely quantitative, obviously as the name implies. But if someone is interested in marketing, while it's probably a little more quantitative than you would find at some of the other schools known for marketing, it's not necessarily the same level that you'd find in the econ department or the finance department.
I was surprised that I actually enjoy classes. Some of the courses are really quantitative, so anything on the finance side is very quantitative, and economics is pretty tough too. Even marketing classes tend to have a quantitative element. I like that. I'm an engineer. I want some proof.
It's still very academic. I think you have a wide variety of the classes you get to take here. More so, I understand, than any other school, and which is a little bit different from the law school and from many law schools, I understand it. So you can choose the more academic classes here, and you can choose the more applied classes as well. And in my experience, I've just started out with the more applied ones because I need to have those as prereqs for the others.
How much of the work is individual effort and how much is team-oriented?
It emphasizes teamwork, but some classes you really, when it's fundamentals, you really need to do singles because in order to learn like accounting or regression. But in other classes, there's a lot of teamwork that's being advocated.
How much of the curriculum is casework compared to lecture?
I would say it depends on what types of courses you take. If you're more on the finance and economics side, you'll have a lot less cases. If you're more on marketing and strategy, you'll have a lot more cases.
We have both actually, depending on the subject. If the subject is accounting, there is some case, but it's mostly fundamentals that you got to learn. But if you're taking strategy classes, it's case methods. So it's a combination of both, which the college really values itself. You have case methods as well as fundamental teaching, as well as experiential learning. So,
is there anything about the academics that you don't like?
Not so far. I think it's the biggest thing about Chicago is a flexible curriculum, and it's really helpful so people can choose whatever they like to do. So far, I really didn't have much regrets in anything. So it's a pretty good experience so far.
Why are you wearing a hat?
Well, the weather shifted a bit from yesterday to today. Yesterday was gorgeous. Today is slightly less gorgeous.
How bad are the winters?
It's pretty cold in the winter.
How long would you say winter lasts?
Winter was from November to probably March or April.
I think it's going to be, wind chill is going to be the big factor. I haven't experienced it yet, but not afraid. Not afraid. Am I looking forward to it? Probably not, but not afraid.
If you have a sense of humor about it, if you just like every time you walk outside, if you just think to yourself, this is ridiculous how cold and windy it is. It's so ridiculous it has to be funny. Then, you know, you'll get through till May, and then the sun will come out, and then the summers more than make up for the winters. The summers in Chicago are spectacular.
It's not that bad. If you're only here for 2 winters, then it's really not that bad at all. And in fact, there are a lot of opportunities for international exchange programs. So why not take one of your winters away?
Where can you study abroad?
I've had friends do exchanges with other business schools in South Africa. I know you can do them in Spain. You can do them pretty much anywhere. London School of Economics.
Can you describe your fellow students?
I just feel like the quality of student here is outrageously high. It's like a humbling experience for me to be here.
Very good, very approachable, very down to earth. That's one thing I was kind of surprised. Very not arrogant whatsoever and very approachable. Very good.
I think there's a wide range. There are people interested in making money, and primarily in making money. They tend to go into a certain family of careers. And then there are people who are interested in doing interesting work and they go into other careers.
They've been very friendly. I think the GSP kind of gets I don't know, a stigma maybe as being terribly nerdy, which, who knows, maybe in relation to others could be true. I don't know, can't speak on that. I've found everybody to be very friendly and very able to communicate.
How have you found the school socially?
Well, it's Chicago, there's a lot of bars. So I'd say a lot of students see the inside of those bars. But there are always emails going around about cultural events. You know, there's theater and ballet downtown. There's a lot of museums down here on the campus, and you know, there's always student groups organizing things. We have a dance club, and they go salsa dancing and have lessons every weekend. You know, there's a wide variety of things. It's not always drinking, but it does seem to be very common.
There's an unbelievable amount of stuff going on. There's a lot of cultural, social activities going on. People are hosting dinners, hosting parties, going to concerts. I had some friends just 2 weeks ago go to Vegas with some people they'd met at a random walk, which is where before school starts the first year, the school organizes trips down to Brazil, to Fiji, and 5 or 6 other places.
Every Thursday, we have an event off campus. It's called the Thursday Night Drinking Club. Just hundreds and hundreds of people show up every Thursday. And then every Friday, there's a catered gathering here called LPF, which is the Liquidity Preference Function, which has sort of a funny business name. And both of those events are so well attended, yeah. Being social is like part of the curriculum, basically. Any evening, any night, 7 days a week, there is opportunity to spend time with and party, really, with the business students here. It started very, very early, even before orientation. Even when students in Philadelphia and DC and San Francisco had been accepted, they started getting together. And and some people say it's all about networking, and it has this sort of like seedy end goal is that we form this elite club, but really it's just fun. I'm not finding it to feel like networky and icky in that way at all.
Do you guys get to take advantage of Chicago?
I mean, I try to go out on weekends at times, but it's tough with all the recruiting going on, at least the first quarter. Going forward, I think it's going to be a little bit easier once the recruiting season is over.
Most people live, by their second year, they'll move into the city of Chicago. There's a lot to do there. It's a great food city. It's a great city for bars. I don't eat much for hours.
A lot of people live up north, kind of downtown and Lincoln Park and areas right up above downtown. And so they obviously are down there a lot. And for people who live down in Hyde Park, I mean, I found it to be a great place to live. And I've managed to get up to downtown more often. I think maybe that's a better distinction with the business school and law school. I think the business students manage to make it up there more often in the first year than the law students do.
How do you like Chicago as a city?
I lived in New York and I grew up in Colorado, so I've actually lived in a lot of different places. It's probably the best city in the country if you want both an affordable, livable, beautiful place and a city living at the same time. Weather's not great.
I mean, growing up in the Midwest, Chicago was always the big city that you went to and you always looked up to. So I've always really liked Chicago. It's really hard for me to say what it is about Chicago that I like. I enjoy going to New York. I've got a bunch of friends there. But I guess in Chicago it feels a little more like home. I mean, it is still a Midwestern city. It's more dynamic than any place in Wisconsin, but it's definitely the same type of values.
I've been so pleasantly surprised by Chicago. It is, visually, it's just beautiful. It's diverse. There are so many visible, like, ethnic groups and religious groups, and you feel how those groups interact in the city. And it's politically corrupt, so it's like really interesting to watch local politics. And The University of Chicago in particular is such a, just like a place for intellectual excitement, and every department and school on this campus is like pushing the boundaries in some way. So to be in particular part of this community is really, really exciting. But there's so much to do in Chicago, outside, inside, museums, art, history, culture. It's an exciting place to be.
Do people tend to stay in the Midwest after school? Where do you see yourself geographically after school?
It's pretty dispersed. A lot of people, I mean, the GSB is very strong in finance, and so a lot of people are going to New York, but I have a lot of friends who are doing, iBanking here in Chicago and going out west. I have another friend who's in the co-chair of the West Quest Club, which they take a trip out west every winter break and visit with companies out west, Apple, Google, a number of others, and then they also bring companies from out west on campus. So there's, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, it's pretty much all over, and a huge international focus.
New York. I want to go back to New York. My family lives in New York, so I'd like to get back to New York, Wall Street, basically, in my case. So.
Do you need a car to go to school here?
No, actually I'm trying to get rid of mine.
I don't think you do. If you stay in Hyde Park the first year, I don't think you need to have a car.
It depends on where you live. I know a lot of students that don't have a car. I've been in Chicago for a couple of years before I started school, so I do have a car. Some people, especially the students from out of town and international students, tend to live around campus here, especially in their first year, in which case you don't need a car.
Students who do live in Hyde Park complain quite often that their social options are really limited, and it's sort of a drag to get to downtown. So I chose to live on the north side, and it would be very hard for me to take public transportation here every day. Yeah, it would take me like 3 times as long as it takes for me to drive.
Can you describe the atmosphere here at Booth?
Extremely collegial. Everybody's willing to help out. I'm making a film for part of a first year class, and I've had 45 people helping me out, just without any particular benefit to themselves.
How have you found the facilities?
Facilities are great. This Hyde Park is a new facility. I believe it's about 3 or 4 years old, so it's great. We have wireless access all over, so that's always helpful. One thing that can be improved maybe is maybe study rooms can be a little bit bigger. We rarely find a lot of any space.
In business school, you spend a lot of time at school, whether or not it's in classes or doing group projects or preparing for recruiting or recruiting itself. You'll spend a lot of time here. It's a great building. It has everything you need. Your interviews happen on campus. You have lockers. You have study rooms that you can reserve. Great classrooms, all like the latest modern digital video, whatever equipment.
The facilities are pretty much unbeatable as far as I can tell.
What is something about the program that you couldn't learn from a guidebook?
I knew that the clubs were very active, but without really coming in here and attending to events, you really wouldn't know how active they are. All the presentations that actually takes place on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, you wouldn't know this without attending. So once you get in here and get a recruiting schedule, you really understand what's going on a little bit better.
I was very surprised to find how active and concerned our deans are and our administration in general. One of the deans of students has a coffee hour every Wednesday, and it's also catered like everything in business school is. And people show up and they can just talk about their impressions and experiences very freely, and she is so receptive. Like anything you say is fine with her. I went with a friend. She had received a certain kind of fellowship, and there was a reception for them, and I went just to hang out with her. And 2 deans and the director of admissions were at all of those little small events. They go to everything. They're super involved. They're so interested in what we have to say. If you tell the dean that this whole thing is like freaking you out and you're like really disoriented, they'll respond. They'll try to say something helpful in response, positive or negative, you know.
Has anyone dropped out?
I don't know, probably. And I have talked to some people who are really put off by this business culture, this like talking about money, the competitiveness, the throwing elbows to get anywhere, and who are so put off by that. That's not how they want to live. That's not how they want to interact with their classmates. But it's sort of the nature of the industry. So they have talked about transferring into like a different kind of program. Even though you can choose to be in the really competitive, really cutthroat environment, you can also choose not to be, which is something that I've done. Like, it is not in my personality at all to throw elbows and to step on my classmates for my own personal gain. That feels really uncomfortable, and so I've just chosen an industry that doesn't require me to do that, and that's okay. And I feel very supported by my classmates and the deans, and they know that I'm taking sort of a non-traditional path.
What advice do you have for prospective students looking at MBA programs in general, in Chicago in particular?
Coming on campus is a huge factor. Just come and see what the people are really like. You know, in relation to the investment you're going to be making, it's, you know, nickels and dimes. So that's the first thing I do. If you can narrow it down to 10 schools and then go visit all of them.
I think before you get your MBA, know what you want to do. Come to the school having some idea what you want out of life, because a lot of companies will recruit you for a lot of different things, and if you don't know what you want, they'll tell you what they think you might want, and you won't end up doing what you like.
Make sure what you're looking for is being offered by the college. That's very important. My reasoning for Chicago was definitely quantitative skills. I wanted to build a foundation, so that's why I came in here. So make sure you're a good fit with what the college is willing to offer, and so you're happy first of all, and secondly, it actually helps with your career choices going forward.
I have one piece of advice about the application process, and that is to really have a story beyond money or power or fame or whatever the most obvious reasons for getting an MBA are, to what is truly compelling about the business world to you. And even if you have to exaggerate a little bit or I don't know, or rethink maybe your motivations, I think the admissions officers really want to hear something that's personal and that's interesting and that doesn't fit into sort of the cliched box.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to Wharton, Chicago, Kellogg, Harvard, any of the top programs that have a lot of cachet in their name, the bar that you have to get over to get in is fairly high. And in some cases, the individual programs that they have may not be better than, let's say, a number 8 school. And so you're working really hard to get into a school that may not prepare you the best for your job. So I think it's really important to have an idea of why you want to go to school, what you hope to do afterwards, to tailor your search. I mean, if you're looking at Chicago, I would definitely plan on being a little more quantitative than you would in a lot of other programs. But you know, like I said, it does have a very flexible curriculum that allows anyone to kind of tailor their studies to what they're trying to do and their own abilities.
Any last words?
Just when you come into a school like Chicago, just be ready for the intensity that's going to come up. So it's going to be very intensive, especially if you're very career focused in the beginning. It will be sometimes difficult to kind of allocate your time with school work and as well as recruiting events. So that's the only thing. Be energized coming in, so it's going to go fast. So that's what I've been experiencing so far.
Prospective students have to come to campus to figure it out, whether or not they'll like it. So I think Chicago's it's like a grown-up place where you'll see a lot of people who are really passionate about what they want to do, who know what they want out of life, and they come here and it's like their next step to getting to where they want to be.